Hey, what's up, friends? I'm gonna get started on the part one of the ultra micro batwing, my version. It's just a little 30mm EDF jet. I writ down everything that you'll need. Alright, let's jump right into this. I already went ahead and cut some of these pieces because it's just easy straight cuts. The tail fins, I went ahead and cut those already, and the sides of my fuselage. I even went ahead and did some of the cutting around the batwing itself. It's all straight cuts. Let's go ahead and finish that up. I'm just using 3mm Depron foam. I laid my plans right on top, taped it down. Now before you cut out your main wing, you want to score a line down the center here, because you're going to use this little template here to set the dihedral. Let's just go ahead and do that right now. And again, I'm just going to score it. I don't want to go all the way through. It's just going to help us set the dihedral and the wing. Make sure you don't cut all the way through, you guys. Alright, let's go ahead and finish up this main wing. And for cutting out this bat wing, you're just going to want to use a X-Acto blade. You got some tight radius turns. Main wing. Go ahead and keep your plans, put them off to the side, because you're going to need them later on in the build. So there's my main wing. I went ahead and scored down the center. Here are my tail fins that I already cut. I just straight cut the whole piece with X-Acto blade. Like I said, just put your plans off to the side. You might need them in the next few steps. When you cut out for your size of your fuselage, don't cut out the air intake. You'll cut that out once you install this on the main wing. So that's why I got air intake cut after install. We got the sides, 2 tail fins, and the main wing, the bat wing. All this off to the side. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and cut out this little template. And this template's for setting the dihedral on the wing. A couple of quick, easy straight cuts. There's our little template to set our dihedral. You know what, I'll go ahead and set that right now. There's my 70mm batwing I'll be building soon. I'll get that put to plans. Alright, so this little piece here is just for setting your dihedral on your main wing. Let's go ahead and cut one of these elevons off. Go ahead and mark those on my main wing and cut them first. Grab a quick pen. My scissors. This is how I just use these little templates here to cut out my elevons. So what I'll do is just flip it on here, center it, mark it with a pin, flip it onto this side, do the same thing. That's the top of our bat wing there. Make sure I get it nice and straight. I want to mark the bottom side of my elevons, so I'll go ahead and just mark that line on the back. Run a ruler across it. And here you're just going to want to score out a 45. That way you get some elevon movement. Don't cut all the way through, just score it. Set your blade at a little 45-degree angle. Now just come back in here, notch out a little 45. Just a quick way of making your elevons. Let's do this other side. Again, I'm just cutting out a 45. I'll go ahead and tape those later. Cut another 45 on this side of the line. I'm just making a V notch. So there's our elevons, and this is the bottom side of the wing. I want to leave the top nice and clean. Let's go ahead and set this dihedral in the wing. What I like to do is just glue this down on a piece of foam board. Now you can take your ink pen where we scored that line. You can go ahead and crack that too right there. So there you see, this is the top of the wing. Now you just run your ink pen down the center. That'll open up that line we scored. You have to do it a couple of times. As you can see now, I can get a little dihedral in the wing. And what we're going to do is run a small bead of hot glue down the center, place this in the template, and then push it down in the center. That'll set our dihedral. And you don't have to use a lot of hot glue, guys. You could even use foam safe glue for this if you wanted. Try to use the bare minimum hot glue so save on weight. So again, I'm in the center of the template that we cut out. Just hold it down. Let that glue set up for a second. Alright guys, so there we got the dihedral set in the wing. Makes the bat jet a lot more stable. Alright, we can do away with this thing. Alright. I'm going to move on to cutting out some of this fuselage. Take our plans back out here. Now this is the top of the main fuselage. You got your canopy fins. Those will act as your canopy. Or you can always get one of these canopies that I use. It's a SIG CS004 4-inch bubble canopy. It's made by SIG. You can see it right here. This is off one of my little micro bat wings. Alright, so this is the top of our fuselage. We're going to go ahead and straight cut the whole piece right out of the foam here. You guys can use a ruler if you want to make your lines nice and straight. I just freehand it. Alright, for the front though, you're going to want to cut a 45-degree toward the front. It's written down on the plans, you'll see it. Just a 45-degree cut. Alright, so there's the top of our fuselage. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out our canopy fins. And these are just so in case you ain't using the canopy I just showed you, this is what will come with the plans. And it also works awesome. I'll show you how to install these and stuff. It's very simple. Alright, so we got the top of our fuselage here. Now I just like to line up the plans with the piece of foam we just cut out. These are our canopy fins here. And you can see where they go on the plans. I'm just going to move them over to here. Hot glue those on there. And again, try to use the hot glue sparingly. So I'm just eyeballing it to the plans. Same thing with the other side. Again, you can see where it sets on there. I just line these up, stick them in about the exact spot. So there's the top of our fuselage. Now for the air intake, you'll see I got here an air intake on the top. You're just going to want to score a line in the back. I'll show you right now, pretty simple. I'm just going to score a line. Like I said, you guys can use the plans if you want, cut those off and do it, or you can just eyeball it up. I'm going to notch out a little 45 back here. Go ahead and remove it. Now I'm just going to cut down the sides of both the fins. And again, this is just an air intake. Now you should be able to pull this upward. So there we go. Now I went ahead and folded it up. As you can see, you can make it however much air you want your EDF to take in. I don't use a whole lot, but I'll go ahead and use the foam safe glue on this piece. Such a small little piece, you don't want to try to get hot glue down in there. You can even hit it from this side. Go ahead and hit this. I want to set mine down a little further in there. I don't need a whole lot of air. Push that together, let it dry up for a second. There's the top of our fuselage, like so. Let's go ahead and drop the sides of this fuselage on. These are the two sides of the fuselage. You see the end with the point, that's the nose. So you'll line it up, the front piece. Then work your way down to the back. Those just line up with your front edge here. Let's go ahead and install these. Again, you guys can use foam safe glue. I'm just rushing through this though. So I'm just going to use hot glue. If you use that, don't want to add that extra weight of the hot glue, you can use foam safe. I just line it up. Just like so. You can even give the side of your fuselage, angle it out slightly at the bottom. Alright, let's go ahead and install the other side. This bat wing, I'm going to be building this one to fly myself. I had to tear apart my last one just to make the plans. So I want to try to do a good job of building this one. Again, I'm just going to angle it out slightly at the bottom. There's the sides of our fuselage. We got our tail pins there. And of course, when you install this, you'll just line it up with the very front of the ears. Just like so. But we're not installing that yet. We still got to cut out for our little 30mm EDF unit, which what I've been doing is using these little foam cups. Just cut it to size what I need to wrap around the 30mm EDF unit. Still keeps the same length. You just gotta make the diameter smaller. The front of the EDF is 1.5 inches with the foam cup, and then the rear, I cut it down to about 1 1/8 at the rear. So I'm just funneling it down slightly. Makes for a perfect little EDF unit. Alright, let's move these off to the side for now. The battery hatch you can cut in after. I'll show you how to cut in the battery hatch after we install most of that. Alright, let's move on to our servo covers. These just come off the sides of the fuselage and they cover the servos. And here I got it. 45-degree angle cut on the insides. It's written down on the plans here. And then a 45 on the bottom. I just freehand cut this stuff out. The first micro bat wing I did, that was more based off of the movie. This one here is just something I designed. Thought it was a little cooler looking. Alright, so there's our servo covers. And on the plans, like I said, it shows you the measurements for the EDF thrust tube. Make sure I got everything cut off here, which I do. Carbon fiber rod, got that right here. That goes, you're going to install 4 pieces in between these wings here so they don't break off when you come in for landings. Alright, so let's move that off to the side. Get back with this. Alright, here I got 2 micro control horns. They're made by Dubrow for indoor and park flyers. And they're just tiny little micro control horns. Here I got 2 of them already painted black. Now you can go off the plans to set these, but I know where I gotta go with them, so I'm just gonna push them on here now. Always line up the holes in your control horn right over your hinge line. So you'll see when I got this nice and level that those holes are right over the hinge line there. Very simple. Do the same for this side. Just push them on. And I'll go ahead and hot glue those on there later. I want to make sure this one's exactly the same as the other one. So I hold the elevon nice and flat. And yep, I got the holes right over the hinge line there. You can also push these up through the bottom if you want to cut a slice and then push them up through the bottom, which is what I do. It just gives you a better seating, I guess. Right here, I just push it up through the bottom. And it also brings down the holes further down, so you'll get more movement when you hook up your linkages. Again, you can adjust it up over the line there, like that. So that's what I usually do with mine. So you'll get more throw out of your elevon. The lower your linkages. If you're on the lowest hole, you'll get more throw. You go the second hole up, you get less, and so on with the third. even get less. Alright, now for the EDF unit, you can come back to your plans here. I'll just lay these on here. Now your EDF unit might turn out to be a different diameter than mine. So what I'll do here is just, I've made it on the plans like this so that you don't overcut the foam. I'll just mark the front of the EDF unit. Right there, you can see I threw a mark. Now you can come back with a little ruler. Put it on there nice and straight. So, the object here, guys, is you only want to bury like the, say a third of this EDF unit. You want more hanging off the bottom than the top. So just cut a little bit off your first round. You can kind of eyeball what you need here. I'm not going to take a lot the first time round here because you cut too much and then you're kind of screwed. I'm just going to eyeball this up. This is where your EDF unit's going to sit. I always put the wires in the top. So you can see, guys, I got the EDF unit held up there. Now I want to go a little higher with this EDF unit, so I'm just going to trim off a little more. You can just keep repeating this until you get it right. Like I said, you just want a third of the EDF unit. I want more hanging off the bottom than the top. It's looking pretty good right there, so I'm going to go ahead and trim out for these little lips on the foam cup. Again, this stuff doesn't have to be precise, guys. Most of it's just eyeballing it up and cutting it out. I'm just trying to trim out for them little ridge they got there. And that looks pretty good. And make sure when you hot glue your EDF unit onto the bat wing that you have it nice and straight with the wing. Just like I got there. That looks good to me. I'll take and drop a couple of drops of hot foam glue on front. I like to hit the front first. Let that set up for a second.